Well, hello, everybody. Pat and Mike. And guess what? We've got a special guest. Megan is here with us. We thought we'd pretty up the thing a little bit with bring a pretty face in. So Megan's going to join us. We're just the challenge now is going to be if Mike and I can, kind of keep her from.
Yeah, running off of the mouth. She just constantly just talks. You can't stop her. You can't shut her up.
Yeah.
She's like blah, 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 blah.
So those of you that know Megan know exactly what we're talking about.
So school's out. We're in summer. She wasn't doing anything, so I drug her in to do this. She didn't know she was going to do this before we started doing this. So anyway.
Well, welcome, Megan.
You want to say wave?
You're welcome to interject anything you want to interject, okay?
Yeah. She'll probably have this pained look on her face the entire time. But don't think I'm like I'm doing anything underneath to make her pain face. It's just normal.
Yeah. So. Do you have her tied to the chair?
Not this time. If we do this again, I probably will. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's pray and then we'll get started.
All right.
We thank you for being with us. We thank you for guiding us. Father, I just ask that as we discuss this chapter of Genesis, that you guide us, and guide the discussion. Father, I thank you for all that you've done for us. I thank you for the many blessings you've given us. And I ask, Lord, that your word becomes real to each and every person that's listening, and that they are given new revelation of you and who you are. I thank you and praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Genesis 24.
Here we go. Ready?
Okay, you nothing you need to say before I go here? Just go.
Go.
Okay. Genesis 24. Now Abraham was old, advanced in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in every way. Boy, you ain't kidding.
Yes.
Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his household, who had charge of all that he owned, please place your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I live, but you will go to my country and to my relatives and take a wife for my son Isaac. The servant said to him, suppose the woman is not willing to follow me to this land. Should I take your son back to the land from where you came? Then Abraham said to him, beware that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my birth, and who spoke to me and who swore to me, saying to your descendants, I will give this land, he will send his angel before you, and you will take a wife for my son from there. But if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free from this, my oath. Only do not take my son back there. So the servant placed his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. Then the servant took 10 camels from the camels of his master and set out with a variety of good things of his master's in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia to the city of Nahor. He made the camels kneel down outside the city by the well of water at evening time, the time when the women go out to draw water. He said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show loving kindness to my master Abraham. Behold, I am standing by the spring, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now may it be that the girl to whom I say, please let down your jar so that I may drink, and who answers, drink, and I will water your camels also, may she be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Isaac, and by this I will know that you have shown loving kindness to my master. Before he had finished speaking, behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor, came out with her jar on her shoulder. The girl was very beautiful, a virgin, and no man had had relations with her. And she went down to the spring and filled her jar and came up. Then the servant ran to meet her and said, please, let me drink a little water from your jar. She said, drink, my lord. And she quickly lowered her jar to her hand and gave him a drink. Now when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw also for your camels until they have finished drinking. So she quickly emptied her jar into the trough and ran back to the well to draw, and she drew for all his camels. Meanwhile, the man was gazing at her in silence to know whether the Lord had made his journey successful or not. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took a gold ring weighing half a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels in gold, and said, whose daughter are you? Please tell me, is there room for us to lodge in your father's house? She said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. Again she said to him, we have plenty of both straw and feed and room to lodge in. Then the man bowed low and worshipped the Lord. He said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his loving kindness and his truth toward my master. As for me, the Lord has guided me in the way to the house of my master's brothers. Then the girl ran and told her mother's household about these things. Now Rebekah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran outside to the man at the spring. When he saw the ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he heard the words of Rebekah his sister saying, This is what the man said to me, he went to the man, and behold, he was standing by the camels of the spring. And he said, Come in, blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside, since I prepared the house and a place for the camels? So the man entered the house. Then Laban unloaded the camels, and he gave straw and feed to the camels, and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. When food was set before him to eat, he said, I will not eat until I have told my business. And he said, Speak on. So he said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has greatly blessed my master so that he has become rich, and he has given him flocks and herds, and silver and gold, and servants and maids, and camels and donkeys. Now Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master in her old age, and he has given him all that he has. My master made me swear, saying, You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I live, but you shall go to my father's house and to my relatives and take a wife for my son. I said to my master, Suppose the woman does not follow me. He said to me, The Lord before whom I have walked will send his angel with you to make your journey successful, and you will take a wife for my son, from my relatives, and from my father's house. Then you will be free from my oath when you come to my relatives, and if they do not give her to you, you will be free from my oath. So I came today to the spring and said, O Lord, the God of my master Abraham, if now you will make my journey on which I go successful, behold, I am standing by the spring, and may it be that the maiden who comes out to draw, and to whom I say, Please let me drink a little water from your jar, and she will say to me, You drink, and I will draw you for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. Before I had finished speaking in my heart, behold, Rebekah came out with her jar on her shoulder, and went down to the spring, and drew, and I said to her, Please let me drink. She quickly lowered her jar from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I will water your camels also. So I drank, and she watered the camels also. Then I asked her and said, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. And I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists. And I bowed low and worshipped the Lord and blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who had guided me in the right way to take the daughter of my master's kinsman for his son. So now, if you are going to deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, let me know that I may turn the right hand or the left. Then Laban and Bethuel replied, The matter comes from the Lord, so we cannot speak to you bad or good. Here is Rebekah before you. Take her and go, and let her be the wife of your master's son, and the Lord has spoken. As the Lord has spoken. When Abraham's servant heard their words, he bowed himself to the ground before the Lord. The servant brought out articles of silver and articles of gold and garments and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave precious things to her brother and to her mother. Then he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, Send me away to my master. But her brother and her mother said, Let the girl stay with us a few days, say 10. Afterwards she may go. He said to them, Do not delay me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my master. And they said, We will call the girl and consult her wishes. Then they called Rebekah and said to her, Will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. Thus they sent away their sister Rebekah and her nurse with Abraham's servant and his men. They blessed Rebekah and said to her, May you, our sister, become thousands of 10,000s, and may your descendants possess the gate of those who hate them. Then Rebekah arose with her maids, and they mounted the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and departed. Now Isaac had come from going to Beer Lahairoi, for he was living in the Negev. Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, camels were coming. Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel. She said to the servant, Who is that man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, He is my master. Then she took her veil and covered herself. The servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. Then Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. Thus Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Okay.
That's a mouthful.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. So
Go ahead, Megan.
yeah, you can go and get started. Might as well go get all your stuff out of the way so we can,
I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
I'll withhold my.
Well then, so So Abraham's, as if he hadn't already been old, but it's funny. It says now Abraham was old and advanced in age. He's been old and advanced in age for a while now.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
Well, what I read, it said he's about 140 here.
about roughly something like that. Yeah. Yeah, because it does. I forget how much later it said. I mean, it does say how old he was when he died. Wasn't it like 170 something? So I mean, he lived for a while.
175 when he died. That's
Yeah.
in the next chapter, but
Right.
yeah.
So I mean, I like this is why I made comment. The Lord had blessed Abraham in every way, every way
Yes.
possible.
Yes. Yes.
Every way possible. In these lands far away from his home. So brings forth his servant, which is known to be Eleazar of Damascus, the one who he thought was going to be, when he first, was spoken to by God and the covenants were being told, this is who he thought was going to be the heir to his, basically to his family. Even though God was saying it's not going to be Eleazar of Damascus, you're going to have a son. Then of course, then he thought it was going to be Ishmael, and no, it's not going to be Ishmael. It's going to be son, And now we've got Isaac. So now obviously Isaac is beyond coming to age at this point, but his mom is passed. Abraham's getting older, which probably means, I mean, if they're talking about he's old and advanced in age, his ability to, I don't know. I mean, obviously the previous chapters, he obviously had to be imparting a lot of stuff to his son. His son is inevitably going to take over this family. Right. But maybe his ability to do that, as just the fact that it makes a point of saying he was old and advanced in his age, maybe he wasn't as quite as mobile as the past. It doesn't say anything about his mind or his eyes being dim at this point. So, but obviously, in order to continue these generations down, I mean, Isaac's got to marry.
Yeah.
So it's got to pass down.
Well, and this trip was like 2 weeks.
Right. I read something like around 450 miles.
Yeah. So it's like a 2 week journey. Well, somebody 140 years old, I probably just
ain't gonna make it
out on a journey like that.
Yeah, probably not. The conditions in that area seem to be a little rough.
Yeah, right. And so he sends Eleazar. One of the things I had thought about though is Eleazar was probably not a whole lot younger than.
Well, actually, what I read in a commentary was they figured him to be about 85.
Yeah. Okay. So that's still.
Yeah. Well, 85 there, as we know, is not the same as 85 today, but still, that's hey man.
Yeah.
That's a ways. Yep. That's a ways.
Yeah.
But obviously, at this point, I mean, everything probably consuming Abraham's mind, besides his relationship with God and whatever regular sacrifices, things he's doing, is the advancement of of Isaac and marriage in the next generation. So anyway, I was reading about this custom, this intimate touch, the thing under the thigh, this intimate touch, therefore being, being this swearing, this oath, seemed to be a regular custom in that time. But he, makes him swear to go back to his family, to basically get a wife for Isaac. I mean, because he doesn't want him. He said specifically a couple times, I don't want him, taking of the daughters of the Canaanites, because the daughters of the Canaanites are pagan, are idol worshippers.
Yeah.
I mean, that would absolutely, at that point, that would completely destroy, these, this blessing, these generations after generations. So he can't marry the surrounding areas. He's got to go back to his own family, which is funny because when you think about it, because his nobody in his family, probably, I mean, as we saw in the other chapters, obviously he keeps up with them somehow. Some word gets back to them about, what his brother, Nahor, had kids and all that sort of stuff. So it got back. So there was some connection. So I'm sure they knew something of the idea that, I'm sure he told them something about, God is telling me to go into the wilderness. So I have to leave my father's who's requested. So they might know, a little bit about the reason why he left. But it's not like this doesn't seem to be a God-fearing people either, because where they're at is, is stocked in idol worship as well.
Yeah, but it seems like it kind of goes along with the warning that God gave Moses when they were going into the promised land, not to marry.
Right.
from those people, from the Canaanite people, not to intermarry with them and all that. This kind of goes right along with it, even though we don't hear that from God as much as we hear just Abraham saying, "I don't."
Right.
They don't. Not, he does not need to be married from this. Marrying someone from this.
It's like an establishment of that before it actually
Yeah.
is established in the Hebrew nation. I mean, he's the father of it.
Right.
So it just like knowing how to knowing what to sacrifice and how and when and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. I imagine, it doesn't say it, but the Lord probably would have had to speak to him in some manner, or at least it came on his thought process of knowing where what's surrounding them right now.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, obviously he has a good reputation with them all, but he knows what they are and
Mm.
doesn't want his son, involved in it, obviously. So, question being, was he smart enough to know that, or did God,
Yeah.
put that on his heart? That's unknown,
Right.
But it's made important because not only does he make him swear the oath, but he's just like, if you go there, they won't, my family won't release the daughter to you, then you're free from this oath. Well, whatever you do, because he asked him, well, should I, take him there? Whatever you do, don't take him back there. I've got a promise from God. I've got a covenant with God that's been reiterated over and over again. I mean, we had a sacrificial animal, almost like covenant sealing upon it. I mean, we've been over this over again. No, he's not to go back to that land. This is going to go forward one way or the other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so whatever you do, what was that?
I don't
Are you
know.
shaking the table and the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, making a bunch of noise.
I was tapping. I was drumming on my Bible. Sorry.
So whatever you do, no taking him back. But if the woman will not come with you, then you're free from the oath. So, but he swore the oath, put his hand under his thigh, and went with it. And obviously, Eleazar, being the steward of his entire household and would have been the heir, had he had no born son, obviously, the fear of God, the respect of God, the belief in God, obviously is probably passed throughout his entire household. So yeah, I would imagine that if Eleazar, I mean, obviously Eleazar had a place with him, but if he didn't continue to, I'm sure he obviously has a loyalty to Abraham.
You're right.
Even from the back time, but I mean, obviously it's rubbed off on him. So,
Right.
I mean, because when something happens, Eleazar drops to his knees
Yes.
and praises God right then and there, or
Yeah.
prays to make his journey successful, his way prosperous. What I find pretty interesting, he goes on this way, and it's not only is this a long journey, he does it with 10 camels, and he's got all this goods with him, going through basically a treacherous land back to Abraham's family. But it's wild because Abraham also said, my angel will go before you, almost like to make the way for you. But what I find interesting is how he basically asks God, if this, the first woman who comes up here to offer me drink and then we'll water the camels, let that be the one. I mean, he doesn't have to wait or go through anyone. He asks for this. By the time he's done with saying this, she appears, Rebecca.
Right. Yeah.
So obviously the angel has gone before him and made the way,
Right.
prosperous and success before he even started, because that's pretty remarkable.
Well, one of the things I read too about that whole watering the camels thing.
Oh yeah, I probably read the same thing.
Is one camel.
Yeah.
Drinks about 30 gallons of water.
I heard about 25, but that's still.
I read about 30. So you're talking about.
There were 10 of them.
Yeah. 10 of 300 gallons of water.
Yes. That she brought.
If someone is that dedicated.
Yes.
To showing that kind of hospitality.
Right.
I mean, to me, that's going above and beyond.
Well, I heard customary at that time. It was customary to obviously offer a stranger a drink, but not necessarily his animals.
Right.
So to go for his animals, and not just an animal, but a camel, which holds water.
And then 10 of them.
And 10 of them.
Yeah.
So Rebecca's pretty metal. to go and draw, until these camels are finished drinking, that is, after this long journey, that is, yeah.
That's quite the commitment there to somebody that you don't even know.
Yeah. So in that time, she was, obviously it says later she was obviously fair to look upon and beautiful, but that is a catch of a woman right there.
Yes, I'm
In
telling
that time
you.
and era.
Yeah, yeah,
Shows her kindness, her servant's heart, all that sort of stuff. So, but obviously she was chosen,
right. And obviously it was a providential thing. It wasn't
Yes.
just
No.
um,
No happenstance, no convenience,
yeah,
no accident, not
right.
convenience, no coincidence. So,